The link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. We're now being recorded, but it's a Zoom link. Is that the link for this? Because why would you need the Zoom link if they're on?
No, that's for a previous candidate form. I believe that was for the one.
Oh, this is the previous one.
Yeah,
Oh, I
that
see.
was
Sorry.
for
Okay.
Rod and Adam, I believe, if I'm not
I'll add that to my
mistaken. I
notes.
could be corrected if that's a mistake. What did you have for dinner, Rich?
I had made earlier this week, so it was leftovers this week. I had both a chicken curry and a lentil curry.
Nice double curry night, huh?
Yeah. Can't beat a curry. How about yourself?
My wife's Persian, so we had this Persian stew called, well, it's like a celery and lamb stew with
Oh, I love
rice.
that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've got a friend who's of Persian origin at work, and he actually brought me in some of his dad's stew. It's pretty darn good. I have a I got into in the Instapot recently. So you know this Instant Pot. It's basically it's a digital pressure cooker, which means you can do things in a very short time. So one of my favorites right now is short ribs, which you can do in an hour now instead of like 4 hours in the oven. And but then there's a tagine, a lamb tagine recipe, which is kind of very similar to the Persian stews, which is also really good.
There probably should have been a question about stews for the candidate because that kind of reflects on their character.
What's your favorite stew? I'm not sure I could answer that.
I couldn't answer that in less than 2 minutes. I'd have to give a speech about each stew.
What time have we got here? We've still got 10 minutes. I'm gonna mute myself for a bit. Come back on in a sec. It's like magic. It's amazing. All right. Welcome to everybody, and thank you very much for attending this candidate night tonight. My name is Rich Neve. The Civics Director for Fiesta Gardens Homes Association. Actually, I hosted one of these last night for Fiesta Gardens for the District 3 members, and so thank you very much for a wonderful time last night. I'm co-hosting here with Tom Lees he's a board member of Beresford Hillsdale Neighborhood Association. We will be taking turns in giving the questions and answers. Well, no, we're not giving the answers. You are. We're doing the questions. So the format today is going to be, there's a 2-minute intro from each of the candidates. For each question, when it's asked, you will have 1 minute to answer. I will only start the time when you begin speaking. So if you need a time to gather your thoughts, you're not on the clock, okay? At 15 seconds, I will just say 15 seconds. And then at full time, I'll say time is up. And I would appreciate it if you could just finish your sentence and not continue after that. And that's purely in the interest of time. We have just over, I think, an hour here, and we've got 7 candidates, so it's going to take some time. After all the questions are complete, you also have 2 minutes for a closing statement. The order will, I've prearranged the order. I started it off with District 1, 3, and 5 in just a random order for each of the people. But then as each question goes, I'm rotating the district and rotating the candidates. So what the audience will hear is answers from their district in one block in a different order each time. That didn't take too long to organize, I can promise you. Also in the interest of time, the first 4 questions are designed as a yes/no answer. So if you could try to do a yes/no answer, I know that's difficult sometimes, that would be fantastic. And then the remaining questions will be open to a full 1 minute discussion or answer. The other thing I've got is, oh, there have been previous forums actually. And if you look in the webinar chat, you can see a link to the Beresford candidate night. So if you go to that link, not now, please, because we'd like you to listen to this one. But if you copy that link, you can rewatch the previous candidate forum. Now, while there are 3 districts and 7 candidates, 1 candidate tonight could not make it. That's Rod Linares. He's a council candidate for District 5 and was unable to join us today due to a work conflict. And he sent this message. He says, I was eagerly anticipating this forum since SMUHA occupies such a valuable role in our community and serves the residents of San Mateo so very well. I am deeply appreciative of your organization's spectacular commitments, efforts, and impact. I send my regrets and apologies to all the residents of San Mateo, to my fellow candidates, and to each of the SMUHA representatives. A work obligation arose that I could not escape, and again, my sincere apologies. So we do want this forum to serve all of the candidates. So in this case, we gave Rod the opportunity to answer the yes/no questions we ask him tonight, and I'll be sharing his answers as the other candidates shared theirs. For District 5 residents, we will also offer the link, which is the Beresford link for that Hillsdale Association Candidate Forum, and Rod and Adam attended that, so you can see some of their questions there. And then I also do have a closing statement from Rod, which I'll read at the end in the order with the candidates, okay? So I'm going to pretend to be Rod tonight for a little bit. So I think that's all the preliminaries, and I think we can move on to the first question, unless there's any questions from any of the candidates. Okay, good. So that's all clear. And again, once again, thank you so much. I know this whole process is exhausting, and this is, I don't know, the 3rd or 4th of these candidate nights, but we think it's incredibly valuable for people to hear from you and to really understand your policies and your values in order for them to make an informed choice when it comes to signing their ballots. Okay, so for question 1, the order will be starting with Nick, and then Lisa, Rob, Sergio, Sarah, would be Rod, and then Adam. All right. So you don't have to remember that order. We'll ask you, but it'll be Nick will be up first. Okay. And the question is this.
Wait, what about opening statements?
Sorry?
What about opening statements?
Oh, you're getting better at this than me, aren't you? Sorry. It is opening statements. I apologize. So Nick, you're the first one for the opening statements.
Okay, you ready? Tell me when to go. Should I go?
As soon as you start talking, I will set the timer.
You go. Hello, my name is Nick Atkinson. I'm running for San Mateo City Council District 1. District 1 is in good shape heading into the November 8th election. You have two highly qualified candidates to select from. Both have lived in their area for over 3 decades and have been involved in their communities. The purpose of tonight's conversation is to help you decide if you would prefer to have Lisa or Nick represent you for the next 4 years. There is little doubt that the single biggest concern with homeowners in District 1 is how will an aggressive city growth plan impact my neighborhood? Traffic, parking, conversion to all electric, ADUs, tall buildings, etc. The significant majority of us want to see the city add affordable housing, especially for essential workers, and to contribute to a cleaner environment in a meaningful way. Additionally, many residents believe we can do a better job of building a vibrant downtown. How do we achieve these objectives in a well-managed way? The answers to these questions will be developed over the next several years. It is an evolving situation. I've spent a lifetime managing, whether it be railroads, banks, financial service firms, my own firm, the Baywood Plaza HOA. My expertise is in management. I have an MBA from Stanford. Most importantly, I have a career of proven success in effective implementation. Through this campaign process, I have not aligned myself with any special interest group that will prevent me from doing my job. I come to this with a clean balance sheet and in a position to make sound, unbiased, common sense decisions. My agenda is your agenda. The job of City Council is to represent our constituents relative to city actions. This is why I'm going to every door personally. This is why my website connects you to me directly.
15 seconds.
We're engaging a straightforward, honest communication about our collective future in San Mateo. I look forward to representing you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Perfectly timed. The second candidate will be Lisa.
Great. Thank you to SMUHA for organizing this forum. My name is Lisa Diaz-Nash. I'm running for San Mateo City Council District 1 to build safe, vibrant neighborhoods, expand housing that keeps our workforce local, and ensure a diverse, inclusive, and welcoming community for all. I want to be a voice of reason, a voice of our neighborhoods, to ensure neighborhood concerns are an important part of all council discussions. My priorities are: number 1, disaster preparedness, 911 response, and public and school safety. Number 2, fixing our aging streets and infrastructure. Number 3, building affordable workforce housing. And number 4, responsibly managing taxpayer dollars and vital services. My husband and I have lived in San Mateo County for 30 years, raising our 2 wonderful daughters, and in San Mateo for nearly 10. I humbly ask that all voters in District 1 choose me for City Council because I offer proven results as a citywide leader at the forefront of the challenges that San Mateo faces. I am deeply involved in our community, from my Baywood Neighborhood Association and neighborhood watch boards to HIP Housing and Rotary Haciendas, low-income housing boards, to our library board and Measure S Oversight Committee, to my work with Samaritan House and the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce. I am proud to be endorsed by a broad and community-based group of people and organizations, including the San Mateo Daily Journal, Planned Parenthood Advocates Mormonte, and the Sierra Club. Congresswoman Jackie Spear, former State Senator Jerry Hill, State Senator Josh Becker, Assemblyman Kevin Mullen, San Mateo City Deputy Mayor Diane Pappen, and City Council members Eric Rodriguez and Joe Goethals, and former mayors Maureen Fusquette, Claire Mack, Jack Matthews, and David Lynn, and the heads of all District 1 neighborhood associations and most of the neighbors in District 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, we move to excuse me, District 3, starting with Rob.
Hello, and thank you again to SMUHA for hosting this event. I am Rob Newsom. I'm a 24-year resident of District 3. I was born in San Francisco. I'm a 5th-generation Peninsula native, and I've grown up here in San Mateo. My wife, Jennifer, and I have been married for over 16 years. We love San Mateo, and we've really made it our hometown. We believe it's a great place to raise our 2 teenage daughters and, of course, our dog, Minnie. We love living here. We have a diverse family and friends who live here, and it's an area rich in culture, history, and technology. I've been involved with the city my entire life, going to city council meetings. Even back in the day, I was in Troop 42 and often did the flag ceremonies when we had flag ceremonies before all the city council meetings. I've completed City Services Academy in 2019, and since then served as a commissioner for the city of San Mateo on the city's personnel board. I've also worked just a year or so prior to the pandemic with my neighborhood to restart our Sunny Ray Neighborhood Association, and I'm currently the vice president of our neighborhood association. We've worked to keep our neighbors informed of what's happening in the city, and we also strive to build a community by hosting 2 to 3 neighborhood events per year. I'm very excited to be running for city council here in District 3 because I have so much invested in our neighborhoods. I'm endorsed by the majority of the leadership of our district's SMUHA members, both our neighborhood associations and our HOA leadership boards. And as your council member, I'll represent not just my district, but everyone in San Mateo. On the council, I plan to focus on 4 main priorities: having and maintaining appropriate funding for public safety, particularly our police and fire, and making sure that we can keep our police fully staffed, ensuring that our streets are safe, and building affordable workforce housing that fits the needs of the city, maintaining and improving city infrastructure, particularly streets and parks, and supporting our small and medium-sized businesses. And I look forward to telling you more about my platforms as we answer these questions tonight. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next person from District 3 will be Sergio.
All right. My name is Sergio Zingma. I'm running for District 3 City Council. I'm originally from New York, where I ran some businesses and worked in the the local and federal governments. I'm running to make San Mateo a better place for everyone. Primarily, my main focuses are first and last mile public transit, right? Getting people to and from public transit to make it a better place to live. Everyone in our city can benefit from public transit, right? Young and old, people who are employed, people who are unemployed. It's really a major topic. Housing is also a priority for me. We have a imperative, we have to add more housing within a certain time frame. It's really necessary that we make it affordable. One of my main priorities is home ownership. I want more people to be able to afford a home, right? Everyone talks about living here for 10, 20, 30 years. And we can't have more people live here for 10, 20, 30 years unless we make it actually realistic to buy a house. I'm running on a platform of being a third party, right? I'm very far away from politics, right? I'm not, I haven't worked for people in the state or other parts of the government, right? I don't have a degree or anything like that in terms of politics or planning. So I'm running on a platform of being a realistic, completely separate, independent candidate. And I hope tonight I'll be able to share with you my plan to make San Mateo prosper, and that we'll be able to get some very useful information. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. Next from District 3 will be Sarah.
Good evening, and thank you to SMUHA for hosting. It's so important for these forums to take place, and I appreciate your commitment to civic engagement this evening and throughout the year. I'm running for District 3 really to be the first District 3 representative to dedicate myself to the interests of our neighborhoods and our residents while keeping an eye out for the whole of the city of San Mateo on the council. My vision for San Mateo includes safe streets, easily accessed by all people to exercise, get to school, run errands, and commute, which will be achieved by a reinvestment in our infrastructure and our parks to ensure that San Mateo continues to be a great place to live with a high quality of life. My background in working in local and state government, along with my education in politics and urban and regional planning, suit me well for this position. I ask that you join the San Mateo Daily Journal, our local 2,400 firefighters of San Mateo, the San Mateo County Democratic Party, Planned Parenthood, the Central Labor Council, the majority of the current city council, State Senator Josh Becker, Assemblymember Kevin Mullen, and others in supporting my candidacy for San Mateo City Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we move on to District 5. Obviously, Rod isn't here, so it'll be Adam.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Adam Lorraine and I'm running for City Council in District 5. I grew up in San Mateo. I went to Aragon High School, College of San Mateo, and I've had the opportunity over the last few years to serve our city on some committees and commissions. I've been a member and still am a member of our city's Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission. We advise the City Council on matters of the environment and public works, including large infrastructure projects in our city, the wastewater treatment plant, which is undergoing a $1 billion remodel, transportation projects throughout the city, and more. I've been a member of our general plan subcommittee. As you know, the city is undergoing a general plan update through 2040. I got to be part of the committee that kicked us off and co-creating a vision for our city in 2040. I would like to continue that work, but we have this district election and I saw an opportunity to take my service to the city up a notch, and I'm going for it. My priorities are to protect our neighborhood vitality, public safety and services, represent all of District 5 and lead by listening, and invest in affordable housing and transportation infrastructure within our city to build a sustainable future together. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, wonderful. Thanks, Adam. Right, now we're going to move on to the questions. Okay, I try and get something right tonight. So we'll go in the same order for the first questions, then the order will rotate. So the first question: our state housing legislation is creating issues for cities with bills that presume more density equates to more affordability. This leaves cities to deal with resulting impacts without any requirement for the state to assist. Further, these bills allow the state to remove local authority over land use and to dictate how much housing we must plan for on a 7-year cycle. These housing numbers are based on a much disputed RHNA, or Regional Housing Needs Assessment formula. A network of hundreds of mayors and council members and other elected officials are working together to return local control to their cities and remove the grip the state currently has on these controls, including the mandated RHNA housing numbers. So if elected, would you join them in this effort? And this is a yes or no.
Just understand what I would try and get more local control. Is that the question? More local control, correct?
Yes, this is, so basically, would you join the effort to return local control to their cities and remove the grip that the state has on that?
Yes.
And the first question is to you, Nick.
Yes.
That's a yes from Nick. Okay, great. Lisa.
Yes.
Yes from Lisa. I love this. This is fast. Rob.
Yes.
Sergio.
Yes, but partially, right? There's still, we need housing, and that's the reason why the state mandated it, but I would support planning locally, yes.
Thank you. Sarah.
You know, I don't see a successful path forward in this effort, so the answer for me is no.
Okay, thank you. Rod's answer to this, he said, yes, I would join them in this effort. Adam.
My answer would be no.
Your answer is no. Okay, thank you very much. Tom, over to you. And the first person answering this next question, again, this is a yes or no, will be Sergio.
Thanks. This question is related to Measure Y. Measure Y is the San Mateo resident-led and voter-approved measure that sets height and density limits for new development. The state has now empowered the council to do away with Measure Y. Would you commit to never using that power as a council member to overturn what the voters have approved? Yes or no? And that's Sergio goes first.
I'm just trying to make sure I understand the question first. No, we need housing.
Okay. Next is Sarah.
Yeah, I worked on the campaign against Measure Y. It passed by 42 votes. That is not a mandate. And I do think we need to build densely across our transit corridor. And so I will not make a commitment to never using that power. I think it needs to be used selectively, but I do think there are opportunities, for example, the Kiku Crossing, which is 100% affordable and taller than 5 stories.
Thanks. I think it was 43 actually. Rob,
Yes, I would continue to support the will of the voters.
Adam,
No.
and Nick.
Never is too strong a word, so I'm going to say no.
Thank you.
And Rod's answer for that was yes, I would commit to never using my power on council to overturn what resident voters have approved.
And there's one more person to talk.
And yeah, Lisa.
Okay, I think the important thing is that Measure Y says that if any part of the general plan or other things exceed what Measure Y says, it has to go back to the voters. And that is what I support. If the voters then decide that it should be taller, then the voters have spoken. But the heart of Measure Y is about the voters speaking.
Thank you. Sorry, Lisa.
Okay, I'm just going to put the next question into the chat. Okay. So this was question 3, and this will be starting with Rod, and then Adam. At the behest of our Sustainability Commission, our council has recently discussed the prospect of making existing homes replace gas appliances with all electric appliances when they need replacing, even in the face of potentially exorbitant costs to homeowners and limited rebates. Do you support the residents' ability to have a choice when replacing appliances? Or once elected, would you vote to remove that choice? So I think for it to be a yes or no answer, would you support the residents' ability to have a choice when replacing their appliances? Rod answered, no, I would not vote to remove the residents' choice on this. So he's saying, yes, the residents should have choice. No, he wouldn't vote to remove their choice. Adam.
So I'm sensing that sometimes people get an opportunity to say a few words more than yes or no. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to say that I don't think it's fair to consider this question as a mandate for those who couldn't afford a replacement to make the replacement regardless. What council has been discussing, what this commission has been discussing, are cost-effective to cost-neutral solutions. And then when we can do that, I believe we should do so. If we cannot at that point, I don't think residents should be forced to do it, and they won't be forced to do it. So that said, in general, when it's cost-effective to do it, I do not want to support people choosing gas over electric. We should be moving forward with electric. So the answer is no.
Thank you. Lisa.
I believe that consumers should be able to switch out their devices when there are incentives to make it cost neutral, and it is time to switch out their devices. But the bigger question for me is the fact that there's a supply chain issue, there's a training issue that goes beyond all of this. So yes, there should be choice, but there's a lot more to the question than just consumer choice.
All right, thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, similarly to Mr. Lorraine, I think that the premise of this question is a little bit challenging. We do need to move towards electrification. That is the ultimate goal. There are a handful of reimbursement and rebate programs that are out there through PCE, through Peninsula Clean Energy, through BayREN, the Bay Area Regional Energy Network, for electrification, including $2,000 for a heat pump, $750 for an induction stove. There are these programs out there, and when it is time to replace your appliances, the replacement should be If you're currently in gas, it should be a switch to electric. And as long as we're providing the right incentives and funds for it, that is a reasonable decision. We just need to make sure that we're doing that in the correct way. So I do support moving from gas to electric, and we need to provide the path for moderate and low income and fixed income homeowners to make sure that we're doing that in a smart and thoughtful way.
Rob.
I support people's ability to have a choice. I concur with most of the other panelists as well that I think we do need to move away from natural gas, but it needs to be done in an affordable way, and it needs to be rolled out in a way that will be successful. So for now, yes.
Sergio.
Yeah, I'm going to follow the rules. Yes, I support the choice.
Thank you. Yeah, if we could try to keep it down for this one, because we still got a few questions to go, so that'll be good. This will be the final yes, no, Tom. And it'll be starting with Lisa.
Hey,
I
I missed my yes, no opportunity.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. I mean, we've strayed a little bit from yes, no, but it's obviously, one other perspective to add to this is that multifamily buildings have much more complex systems, and this is not an easy situation for big, complex, large-scale industrial, facilities. Our building is, 30 homeowners in a building, but they're much bigger buildings all around us. So I do think we're going to have, it's a very complex implementation, and it's going to have to be done in a reasonable, cost neutral way that's practicable and can actually be achieved. But generally the movement towards electrification seems reasonable, just has to be done in a reasonable, real way.
Thank you. And sincere apologies for that, for missing you out there, Nick.
No, we're even up on the mistakes.
Well, I don't know. I think I'm one
We have
ahead
to
of
be
you.
fair. We're trying to be fair, everybody. If this is another yes or no, but if you could just limit, if you have to add something on, just limit to 10 seconds, that'd be great. Lisa will go first. Developers have targeted single-family neighborhoods with the help of new state laws. As a council member, will you support protecting existing single-family home zoning, yes or no?
yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Nick, Rich, Rob's answer? Oh, no, Rob, you're
Rob.
Rob. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
Yes.
Sergio,
No, because we need more housing.
Adam,
Yes.
and Rod's answer, please, Rich.
And Rod said, yes, I'd support protecting existing single family home zoning. Great. All right, so we're on to the proper 1 minute answers now. This is now question 5. It will initially go to Rob. What do you see as the top challenges for your district in the next 4 years, and how will you tackle them?
Sorry, just the top one or the top? Sorry, I missed the beginning of the question.
What do you see as the top challenges for your district in the next 4 years, and how would you tackle them? So you can pick as many as you want.
Challenges in under a minute. Okay. What I hear when I talk to the neighborhood is public safety, particularly traffic safety, safety of kids crossing the streets and intersections. So we want to make sure we address that. Also want to make sure that we're growing housing, but we're doing in such a way that's fair to the the neighborhoods, and that we're not building them in the shadows of larger buildings, and that we're using our transit corridors and other opportunities to build more dense urban housing. What other things in the neighborhood? Those are the big two. I think public safety, infrastructure improvements, I think would be a third. Infrastructure needs work. There are things in the neighborhoods and that people complain about when you go around talking to people, and sometimes it's sewage lines, or manhole covers haven't been replaced. Sometimes the lights need to be updated. They should be painted and replaced with LED lights. So there are a lot of little infrastructure things, but they mean a lot to people, and they're not hard to tackle, I think. So thank you.
Thank you, Rob. The next question will be to Sergio.
Yeah, streets and sidewalks, really. I mean, we already see them falling apart right now. They're just going to keep falling apart unless we do something about them, replacing them. Sidewalks especially, there's ADA concerns, so we want to protect the city from lawsuits. So we need to replace those. That's going to be a big problem. Everyone's going to probably talk about the sewer and the wastewater, or the stormwater distribution. That's a big problem that needs to be fixed. If you talk to city services, they'll say that. But housing is always a big issue, right? Parks, we need to add larger parks, more smaller pocket parks, I think that's what they're called, and then larger, where people can actually host a party or something like that. But really all this stuff just to make it more a better future, both whatever housing looks like, right? We need to make streets and sidewalks better and make our city infrastructure better.
Thank you very much. Sarah.
Great. Thank you for the question. Top of mind is connectivity across District 3 and across all of San Mateo. District 3 is positioned really in the heart of the city of San Mateo. All the other council districts touch District 3. That's a fun cartography fact for the group. That means walking, cycling, and our 2 Caltrain stations that are in District 3. There's 3 Caltrain stations in the whole of San Mateo. 2 of them are in this district. And so connectivity both within the district and across the district is so key. And we need to do it safely. Everyone saw the video of a child on a scooter being clipped in Bay Meadows. That's completely unacceptable. And we need to do a review of all of our intersections for safety and for traffic flow. That's top of mind. Infrastructure, which feeds into the connectivity issue, really evaluating our streets and sidewalks and how they all work together. We need to reinvest in our parks. As a parks commissioner, I know we have a great footprint of parks here in San Mateo, but they could all use some love, from the planting to the assets. And thank you.
Thank you. Adam.
So I think the first top challenge is finding balance between new developments and existing neighborhood infrastructure in District 5, and potentially making some infrastructure changes to better integrate what we have with what's to come. The 2 projects that come to mind off the top are Peninsula Heights up near the College of San Mateo and getting close to 26th Avenue and some of the other avenues, and Hillsdale Shopping Center, which is undergoing its reimagine process right now. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to increase our neighborhood, to increase the number of people who might be members of SMUHA, more homeowners and people who can be part of this neighborhood. But what we need to do is think about how we can integrate it. Transportation and infrastructure is the way to go. I'm part of our commission. We were just talking about it last night. We had a transit-oriented pedestrian plan, San Mateo Walks to Transit. That's how we can make it happen.
Thank you, Adam. We'll move to the next district, District 1, Nick.
I think our biggest problem is basically an explosion of cost in basic living expense. So we have PG&E, those costs are up 28% in the last 18 months. Recology, if given a free hand, they'll take price to infinity, essentially. Water's advanced by double-digit price. So it's really a battle to get these costs under control. Fixed income households cannot tolerate this rapid rise of basic expense, and that, expenses and items that are required to live. So managing that, I think, is going to be critical.
Thank you. Lisa.
Thank you. My priorities were actually built based on what I heard from the people in District 1. So the number 1 priority is safety. It's both public safety, school site safety, and disaster preparedness. We have sea level rise on one end, we have wildfire danger on the other. So there's a real concern about fighting that in an integrated fashion. Number 2, like many of the other candidates, fixing our aging streets. District 1 is one of the older areas in town. We have water main breaks, we have failed streets, and we need to work on that. Affordable workforce housing. Everyone wants San Mateo to be vibrant. That means people who work here and who grew up here want to have a chance to live here. And then finally, many people are happy about district elections because there's a feeling that neighborhoods do not have a voice on council, and that is something we need to change.
Thank you. That was the last person for that question. So we'll move to question 6. Tom.
Thanks. Our current city council seems divided by those who represent residents and those who allow special interests to weigh heavy on their decision. How would you represent us over special interests, and how would you keep your finger on the pulse of what residents want throughout your term? How would you work to find common ground if there is conflict between what residents want and what outside special interests wants? And Adam goes first.
Thank you. I would represent District 5 and the city of San Mateo at all times. When it comes to development decisions, I am not going to be in the pocket of developers. I am interested in what's best for San Mateo, and where I think we can make a shift in the right direction is by asking developers through our integrated process. This general plan update will improve this for public benefit in return for what they're proposing. We're going to see that in the Reimagine Hillsdale development and other developments in our city. That's what I'm interested in doing, figuring out how does it work for us and what can we get out of it to make San Mateo the best it can be going forward. I'm interested in having town hall meetings, district level meetings. I will do my best to remain accessible. If there's a conflict, I will do my best to weigh the interests after listening. But thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
So Rod is next, I believe, or he's not answering for this one, right?
Yeah, so go ahead to the next one.
Okay,
Lisa.
so that's Lisa. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay. Let's see, there we go. I don't think there needs to be a conflict. I think that's part of our problem as a city, that we've all gone into our corners and we need to come out. And I am a bridge builder, a voice of reason and collaboration. And I think I have the experience and have proven that I can bring people together. We need residents, we need businesses, we need developers, we need visitors. We need everyone to help make San Mateo the vibrant city we want it to be. But once upon a time, there was called the San Mateo Way, where you could have an active debate. And John Mays has spoken about it in the Daily Journal often, and how we have lost that. And I think we need to work, all of us, to get that back, because we have some daunting challenges, from climate change to housing to crime, and we need to work on it together.
15.
So thank you.
Thank you.
That will be Nick next. Thank you, Nick.
My case is simple. I have no links to any special interest. I'm not taking any donations. My special interest is in the voters. My connection is with the voters. My priority is the voters, the people of San Mateo. Special interests take a back seat to that.
Sergio, thanks, Nick. Thank you, Sergio.
Yeah, definitely. I am very proud to say I have no special interest donations, no special interest endorsements. My special interests are your special interests, right? Or what you want, right? The city, the people, right? I do not represent any particular, special interest group, special interest prominent members, right? I represent the people who live in my district. I encourage you to look at all the candidates' filings and see who they're getting money from. That's a good place to start. But when it comes to conflict and transparency, I would represent the people, right? I don't represent myself. I'm running for the city of San Mateo, but not for me, right? So I would take into account what the people do, making sure it's lawful and appropriate. And I would represent the people directly. In addition, I'd be fully transparent, right? You can contact me anytime right now, and I would continue that should I win. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. Rob?
Excuse me. Well, ultimately, we're voted for by the residents, and so we need to make sure that we're putting the residents first. I would definitely prioritize my district's residents, but I would support all residents of San Mateo. I totally love what Lisa said about bringing back the San Mateo Way. Having grown up here as a few of you, that it wasn't always this daunting. It wasn't always this divided. And I'd like to work on a council where we bring back civility and we work together and I think that I've worked for 30 years as a manager. I can help bring people together, find common ground, and maybe not everyone will be happy, but we'll find a medium that everyone's at least somewhat happy. I also think it's important that we hold developers accountable for the impacts that they have on the neighborhood. I met with some neighbors in 19th Avenue Park 2 weekends ago, and they mentioned how when the Dunphy Hotel became the Marriott, that they made sure that the project entailed building a new park, which was Concar Park, and adding back to the community that they're impacting. Thanks.
Thanks, Rob. Sarah, thank you.
Yeah, I've worked in a variety of different jobs, including significant work in the interfaith space. And I'm really proud of that work that I've done in bringing different kinds of people together to serve in our community. And that's the same spirit that I will bring to the City Council. And so I'm committed to regular communication with all constituents, particularly with an eye to District 3, but wherever there's important work that needs to be done, communicating out regularly, working on an e-newsletter, town halls, and showing up to SMUHA, to other homeowners associations, to different advocacy groups, to a variety of groups to be accountable to everyone. I want to be clear that the donations I've received in my campaign, first and foremost, comes from friends and family. And I'm proud of that. People who've known me the longest are supporting my campaign. I've also received significant donations from labor unions. I don't think that's a special interest. I think it's working people. And so San Mateo's roots as a working class community are in the heart of those donations. Lastly, I want to say that I've received donations from—
Time's up, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Okay, that was the last person for question. So we move on to question 7. The first person to answer this will be Nick. And I'll put this in the final question in the there. Okay. We're still in the midst of developing San Mateo's new general plan. Much hope was pinned on the plan to map out the future of our city, but many, including some on the council, have acknowledged the failure to sufficiently engage residents for input and direction. Still, decisions have been made, including the council majority voting to maximize the majority of development growth options throughout San Mateo. What elements of the current draft of the general plan would you change? And if elected, would you urge your fellow council members to join you to revisit these elements before they are finalized? Nick.
Absolutely. I think that the entire plan does need to be revisited, and real questions about, increasing affordable housing, maybe diminishing the allocation towards office, doing more to shape the plan to fit sort of the character of San Mateo. So I do think it needs another look, and I do think further a revisit by the council and others would be helpful.
Thank you. Lisa.
I think we had a lot of discussion as a community about the general plan. We always can do more, and I was always trying to get people to do more. What we came up with is a principle of transit-oriented development, concentrating the housing that we are required to zone for in areas close to transit. So I think that's a good principle. I think we still have the opportunity to look and say, what exactly does that mean? We still have not agreed on the heights. And I, for one, believe that the 2 extra floors that the state has said can be added to buildings if they're affordable housing should be included in our ultimate limit, not above and beyond. I think we also need to talk in much more detail about multi-use and making sure that any multi-use building has a sufficiently high percentage of residential so that it really does help. We need this in downtown so that there are more people to go to the stores. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person to answer will be Sarah.
Great. Thank you for the question. Look, there's always more outreach that can be done, as Lisa had just said, but there has been a significant effort to reach out to a variety of communities across the city of San Mateo, including a statistically significant survey. And I think it's really important to note because I think there's been significant criticism of city staff around, are they really getting an appropriate sample? And that has taken place. So I think we've taken into consideration sort of the right set of opinions, and we do have that statistically significant audience. There's more education that can always take place. And I said this last night at the Fiesta Gardens HOA. There's more that can be taken into account. And I'll say, as a trained city planner, I'm well equipped to translate and interpret some of the more technical language into more plain language. And I think that's really where the education piece needs to take place around the general plan.
Thank you. Rob.
Excuse me. Well, I think the city's done, I won't say outstanding, but I think the city did a pretty good job of doing outreach for this general plan. I myself went to a few of the general plan meetings, both in person and online during the pandemic. I think a big key to how they got that outreach was working with SMUHA and the neighborhood associations and homeowners associations. And I think that on the Sunnybrae Neighborhood Association, we really tried, we canvassed the neighborhood to try to make sure that we got people involved. And so I think a lot of credit goes to the city staff for doing that, and to SMUHA members and neighborhood associations. I think the one thing that kind of caught me off guard, and Lisa already kind of touched on this, was that the general plan is, laying out how many stories are in each zone or type of region.
15.
And I'd like to make sure that those are actually included, written in the plan, and not like, oops, we forgot, we meant 2 + 4, so needs to make sure that that the bonus densities that we might be having are written into the plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Sergio.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a good job as well. I'll agree on that. I am very concerned about the lack of inclusion of home ownership. The word, home ownership appears only 3 times in the housing element, all 83 pages, right? People, all of us talk about, some of us talk about living here for 10, 20, 30 years. That's going to be impossible for the next generation if we make housing, such that you have to have $400,000 burning a hole in your pocket to buy a house, right? There are programs for moderate income. Unfortunately, that's like less than $100,000 a lot of the times, right? So for people who make over $100,000, it's a concern. We also have problems with, even for people who are below that threshold, there's not enough. There's a wait list. It's just not, we need more programs invested to make it people homeowners, so they're not stuck as a renter for their life, and that they can enjoy the city for 10, 20, 30 years, like we all talk about. So again, to wrap up, homeownership really needs to be addressed in this element as part of our housing plan. Thank you.
Thank you. And Adam.
Thank you. I would start by saying I have to disagree that there is a failure in outreach in any way, shape, or form with this process. In terms of length and opportunities for people to engage and get input, it's been tremendous. It's been years and years. I got cancer and resigned from the subcommittee, and then got better and came back. It's still going. We had a pandemic. It's still going. And you can still be a part of this process right now. We have a survey going on StriveSanMateo.org, and there will be many more meetings to come in the next year or two. So please, if you feel like you haven't had an opportunity, the opportunity still exists. Overall, I think things have been going well, and has followed inputs from stakeholders and attendees. That's part of the reason why I'm running. I don't want us to do a whole 180 on this process we've already been working on for years and years, and gotten lots of community input. The consultant working on this says they've never seen a city put this much community input and focus on outreach. One thing that I think we could focus on as we get to this goals, plans, and actions portion is to make sure that growth in housing catches up with our job growth we've seen over the last 10 years. Some folks have talked about mixed use minimums for housing. I think there might be a slightly more elegant way to do it that doesn't restrict us to specific kinds of mixed use, but that's what we can work on together right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question 8. Yes?
We are on question 8 now, yes.
Okay, what former or current relationships do you have with any entity that could financially benefit from decisions regarding land use and land development in their favor? And do you have any donations from these entities or their employees, consultants, or representatives? And Rob, you are first, please.
I don't believe I have any any that I can think of that I would have to declare. I'm a worked for small businesses my whole life, so I would say none.
Thank you, Rob. Sergio.
Yeah, I absolutely do not have any financial ties to any special interest groups, including builders. I believe I'm the only candidate here tonight who publishes their full tax returns, right? You can see my IRS form 1040 full online at sergioforsanmateo.com. You can see I have no special interest donations or links or anything like that. So you can call me, ask me any questions, but yeah, no special links.
Thank you, Sergio. And Sarah, please.
Yeah, let's see. I have a relationship with State Senator Josh Becker, who's donated to my campaign. He's a lawmaker in Sacramento. My former boss when I worked in the state legislature is an assembly member now. His name is Chris Ward. He is donated to my campaign. And previously I worked for a public affairs firm that represented the Bohannons. I have no financial ties to the Bohannons now, but the David D. Bohannon organization has donated to my campaign. And I have, through local political organizing, I was previously the president of Peninsula Young Democrats. I've formed close relationships with many of our local labor unions, and I've received campaign donations from the carpenters, the electrical workers, the local laborers, the Labor Council, and I'm very proud of that support. But again, there's no financial benefit to me having any of these relationships. I do not make any money from any of these relationships, but I'm happy to have all of their support. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Adam, you're next, please.
Yeah, I believe I do not have relationships with entities that could financially benefit in a way that would bind my decisions, in a way that would have me need to recuse myself from any decisions on council. And so I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And Lisa's next, please.
Great, thank you. I've made a policy of not accepting donations from any developers. I want to work with developers because they're an important part of our community, but just to avoid any conflict of interest, I am not accepting any donations from developers. I have received donations from several labor unions and from the Police Officers Association. They have all endorsed me. It's not a financial relationship in any way. I also am on the board of HIP Housing, which is an affordable housing nonprofit. If I were elected, I would be resigning from HIP Housing because potentially there might be some conflict between something they might want to be doing before the city. So that's it.
Thank you, Lisa. Nick, thank you.
None, no.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
All right, we are on to the last question before the closing statement. So we are doing very well. We're only 5 minutes off the hour, so we've done a very good job tonight as well. Thank you. So question 9. This will be started by Adam. Increasing the local property transfer tax via Measure CC from 0.5% to 1.5% for properties valued at 10 million or more would support our general fund and provide locally controlled funding for our city to continue to address the community's top priorities. What would your top 3 priorities be for this money?
Thank you. Well, I would say the first priority, and I feel really the intent of the measure to some extent, is to ensure that we're maintaining our public safety and services, mainly through the staff that we have. So many may recall during the pandemic, our employees at the city of San Mateo agreed the number of bargaining units to freeze their wages and not accept promotions or increases to their salaries to help avoid having to make cuts. And thankfully, through the American Rescue Act, we were able to true them up a bit. But the main goal is to ensure that going forward, we can bridge the gap that some of our taxes that haven't made recovery all the way to ensure that our staff continues to maintain and get promoted and grow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nick.
Okay. I think we could do more in homeless outreach. So I think we could get after that better. I also think as a city, we need to be much more highly responsive to citizens' requests for safety on their own streets. For instance, in walking the district, there have been a number of cases where citizens have lobbied for years to have some type of speed control installed on their streets, just out of fear of having their children hit or somebody else hit. So, issues like that need to be addressed. And then again, just making sure that our public safety staff is adequately taken care of from a financial compensation standpoint.
Thank you. Lisa.
Thank you very much. I think one of the major focuses of this measure is so that we can start to get to some of the capital improvement projects that we all want to do. As part of the general plan, we talk about opening up the city. We have a downtown plan. We have a Central Park plan. We have no funding for any of these plans. So I think this is a really important thing. So as we come up with the general plan, we need to be able to fund the holistic services and improvements around it. So that would be number one on my list, I believe. Number two, we really, as part of it as well, we need to look at the complete streets program that we put together. How do we start to build the infrastructure so we have protected bike lanes, so we have better pedestrian safety? All these things we want to do, but we can't afford. And then number three, the big issue for all of us is climate change. So I would want to look at what are the priority issues that this money could be directed toward. Thank you.
Thank you. Sergio.
Yeah, this is always a great question. Public safety is always an important thing, right? I fully support our police. In order to remain competitive as an employer, the police needs to increase wages, which is what other people are talking about. We definitely need to make it a competitive workplace, especially considering the high turnover. So we need to work on that. Homeless outreach, always good. We also need to, again, home ownership, big thing for me, right? In order to get people into a home and live here for a long time, we got to make it so they can afford it, right? So whether that be microloans or paying part of the interest or doing whatever to make it actually accessible, that's always a good thing. But yeah, we need to spend this money responsibly.
Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, thank you for the question, and really thank you for highlighting Measure CC. It's incredibly important. I've personally given to the effort to pass Measure CC, and I encourage everyone on this call to vote in the affirmative for it. It's really important. It's being framed as saving our city services, and that's really the whole crux of this funding, is to be able to support public safety and city services. That's one. I would like for it to contribute to actualizing the Park Master Plan. We're in a very fortunate position. We, after decades of service, Sheila Kazi, I'm sorry, I'm going to say her last name wrong. Sheila retired, our former Parks and Rec director. We have a new Parks and Rec director, Joanne, and she's really poised to bring our parks into the next level. Third is climate change mitigation. It needs to be a top priority, and with this new funding, we can actualize that as well. Thanks.
Thank you. And the final one will be to Rob.
Sure. Well, I have also endorsed and support Measure CC. Excuse me. I think priorities are pedestrian bicycle safety. We want to make sure that we have safe crosswalks, safe traffic mitigation for our kids to be able to cross the street and get to and from school. I think it's important that we look at infrastructure fixes in San Mateo, in Sunny Brae particularly. The parks are missing a play structure. I'd like to see that play structure back so the kids can actually play on it. We look at Fiesta Gardens. Fiesta Gardens needs a bridge. Their bridge is cracking and in danger of, needs to be replaced right away. And we need to make sure that we're bringing back the manhole covers. We've actually removed sewer covers. And then to what other people have suggested too, police, fire, and public works retention. So San Mateo Police Department has a high turnover rate. Once people get past their 2 years of initial rookie season, then they tend to unfortunately leave. So we've got to figure out how to make sure we're making people whole and we're incentivizing them to stay in San Mateo. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, great. Well, that was the final question. So we'll go on to the closing statements, and we'll go back to the same order as we started. So the first closing statement will be for 2 minutes from Nick.
Okay, thank you very much. So as a council member, there's, I guess, 2 roles: strategic direction and then oversight of proper implementation. The strategic direction has to be done with the intimate knowledge of what the citizens of San Mateo really are interested in. My entire approach is to be intimately aware of what they're interested in by going to all their doors, including, on top of that, allowing direct access through my website and just trying to be as connected and as I say, lead by listening. I thought that was a great line. I forget who said that tonight. Okay, so that's the strategic direction. The proper implementation. San Mateo has had a history lately of sort of failing to properly implement certain things. I mean, the bike lane implementation, I think, was done rather poorly. And we're now getting into more complex issues. Going all electric is a very complex issue to implement. So my entire life is based on complex implementation and done successfully. I think I can add a lot to that. And I look forward to moving San Mateo's agenda forward in a way that actually really works.
Thank you. Lisa.
Thank you again to the San Mateo United Homeowners Association for organizing tonight's forum, and to all the participants watching live stream for letting me share why I'm running for council, what my priorities will be, and how I hope to govern. I hope you like what you heard. San Mateo, I believe, is at a critical juncture that demands all of us to contribute our best. My passion is bringing people together to create solutions, not divisions, and building a great quality of life for all. I will be a voice of reason and collaboration and a clear voice for District 1 neighborhoods. I am running a grassroots campaign to hear from as many in District 1 as possible. And I will continue this as a city councilor. My door is always open, as long as you're civil in return. I'm running to be the voice of District 1, but I will govern on behalf of all of San Mateo to make our city stronger, more vibrant, and more sustainable. But we need to get back to basics, and I've heard a lot of that tonight, to revitalize San Mateo as we come out of the pandemic and make our residents, our businesses, and our visitors excited about being here. My priorities: public and school safety, fixing our infrastructure, affordable workforce housing, and responsibly managing taxpayer dollars and vital services. These are the basics. But the basics are also how we communicate and making sure that city council, city staff over communicate at every level so that people feel heard. That's half of the battle. I also have a future vision for San Mateo. I want us to be the heart of the peninsula in the next 20 years, the center of all things economic, cultural, business, and community. I want people to come to San Mateo because they have the best experience and we give them the best results. So thank you very much. I ask everyone who is a voter in District 1 to vote for me, and I look forward to earning your respect.
Thank you. Rob.
Sure. Thank you again to SMUHA for hosting this event. Rich and Tom, thanks for moderating. To the people of San Mateo, and especially those in my district, I hope that I've conveyed tonight just how much I want to represent you on the city council. I'm very proud of my endorsements. I'm primarily supported by people who live here in San Mateo, people like Senator Jerry Hill, County Supervisor Carol Groom, Councilman Eric Rodriguez, former Mayor Maureen Frischkett, former Mayor and Neighborhood Leader Claire Mack, and retired Police Chief Susan Mannheimer, and retired Fire Chief John Healy. I'm from this neighborhood. I've grown up here, and I know intimately, neighborhood by neighborhood in our district, what our challenges are. While I might not have the city planning background of my opponent, what I do bring to the table is the ability to lead people and the ability to build consensus and a team. I think we need to bring civility back to our current city council. And I think that I have a unique perspective of being able to listen to people with varying viewpoints and work together with them to build consensus. We're gonna have an entirely new city council almost after November 8th. And I think that my leadership will help me, and it's what the leadership is needed by our rookie council. In closing, I am doing outreaches, and I continue to do outreaches neighborhood by neighborhood. And Saturday, I'm at Fiesta Gardens at 10. Please come out and join me. If you want to know more about me or just want to look me up, I'm at robforsanmateo.com. I hope that you will please vote for me, all of you District 3 residents out there listening. And thank you again for the time tonight.
Thank you. Next person up will be Sergio.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone for organizing and for coming out tonight. You know, it really shows how much everyone is dedicated to ensuring that they're living in a fair and equitable city. Again, you know, I'm running on a platform that works for everyone, right? I'm running on a platform that does not consider special interests, that does not, you know, suck up almost the special interests. I have no donations from special interests. I have no endorsements of special interests. My special interests are your interests. You know, I may not have a city planning background. I may not have a fancy degree in city planning or politics, but what I do have is experience running a business. You know, started my business in 2016. It's still running great. I've stepped away from it a little bit to run this campaign, but I think it gives me a really unique perspective in what it takes to run an effective city government. More importantly, I've also worked within the local and federal government, so I can see the legislative and regulatory sides of it as well. I encourage everyone, as you fill out your ballot, to demand transparency, both from the candidates, from any you know, any items that are on the ballot. I ask that you demand transparency, right? Call people up, ask them how they feel about things. You can call me up anytime. You know, look online, look at their filings of the city of San Mateo, ask for their tax returns. You know, do all of this stuff to make sure that people are running for you, not for any special interests or for any other causes. Again, if I were to win, fortunate enough to win, I would continue to be fully transparent as I am now. You can email me or call me at any time, and I'll be glad to talk to you about anything. I agree with my opponents that we need to bring civility back to city council, and I fully intend on having an open door policy as your city council member. Thank you so much to everyone for your time tonight, and I look forward to working with you soon.
Thank you, Sergio. Sarah.
Yes, thank you to SMUHA for hosting and gathering. Again, I deeply respect and appreciate your commitment to civic engagement. Again, I am running with the concern of all of District 3 and really the whole of San Mateo in mind. My top priorities are to develop a welcoming San Mateo that really works for current residents, people who work here, and people who come to make their home here in San Mateo. I want to prioritize fixing and updating our infrastructure. That means streets, sidewalks, all of it. We need to make sure that our city works for us and not just for any one particular group. And that involves reinvesting in our local services, as we've discussed, as well as in our parks. As a Parks and Recreation Commissioner, I want to really prioritize our parks within the way that we function as a city. I want to say a bit about what distinguishes me. You know, my two opponents, for whatever reason, have chosen to highlight my education, and I do think that's important for you to know. We're coming into a new council, and so being able to look at a land use map and understand how it works is something that's really important, and I'm the only person here tonight who's taken advanced cartography. So that city and regional planning degree does serve me and will serve all of you very well on the council, so I thank my opponents for bringing it up. I have endorsements from both across the city of San Mateo and across the region, and that will serve me well because San Mateo is not an island. We have to work together with our neighbors to combat climate change, to work on an important transportation plan, and a variety of other regional issues. So I'm proud of that work, and I'm proud of my support. Please join Planned Parenthood, the Daily Journal, the Democratic Party, and a host of others. You can learn more about me at Sarah for San Mateo. That's FOR, sarahforsanmateo.com. Thank you.
Thank you. And right, so next is Rod, which is, I'm going to read something for Rod. These are his words, not mine, and I'll try to do them justice, okay? I'm not sure I'm going to set myself a timer here because it's only 2, so we'll get started. From Rod. My wife Lisa and I have lived in District 5 for 20 years. We raised our 3 children here. This familiarity with our district has given me a unique insight on the premium you place on your neighborhood and lifestyle. It seems difficult for me and for my many neighbors with whom I've spoken to imagine that an individual can just move here, as my opponent has, and fully gain an understanding in a handful of months. As your neighbor, I share your joy and pride in living here and your concerns. Speaking with you one-on-one as I knock on doors or attend coffees has been invaluable. I hear you. I will be your voice on the council, focusing on what concerns you most: public safety, infrastructure, affordable and workforce housing, fiscal responsibility. I'll use my background as a small business owner, civic experience, and relationships with key people and staff throughout our city to hit the ground running and serve you in the way you need and deserve. Regardless of which district we're in, we are all San Mateans. As is the case with all cities and organizations, challenges await. Great things happen when we unite in a common effort, and it is by working through challenges together that we grow stronger. I look forward to doing so with you, with our neighbors in District 5, and with all city residences. I appreciate your support and ask for your vote. And so the final candidate will be Adam.
Thank you. Thanks very much for organizing this and for giving us this opportunity. San Mateo is at a crossroads. We must recover economically from the pandemic and plan for affordable housing and climate resilience. We need experienced leadership with strong community ties to provide institutional knowledge and forward momentum to our city council. I grew up here in San Mateo. I've lived here the majority of my life. This isn't my first time in District 5, by the way. I went to school in District 5, the College of San Mateo, for years. I've worked in District 5 all through high school and through college at local businesses and at the city's Parks and Rec department. I got chemo in District 5. And now I live in District 5. And so I think that that's good enough. And I hope you feel the same. In our neighborhood associations and as a city commissioner and member of our general plan subcommittee, I've been a leading community voice on sustainability and infrastructure priorities for years. So I feel I'm ready on day 1 to join the council. I'm endorsed by Mayor Rick Bonilla, Councilwoman Amarance Lee, State Assembly Speaker Pro Tem Kevin Mullen, San Mateo County Democratic Party and Labor Council, and a number of other organizations. If you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to check out adamlorraine.com. I also think I'll try to take a moment to address some of these yes or no questions are really hard. It's tough, difficult to understand the nuances. I feel like there's more to each of them, especially when it comes to the general plan. My mission for the general plan is to make sure we come up with something that can work for those of us who live here today and for those who would like to live here in the future, like me, someone who grew up here but currently rents. I'm not trying to take away local control. I'm hoping we can come to an agreement and bring it to the voters. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And that concludes all of the questions and the statements. I would like to actually one little thing. If anybody in the audience wants to make any comments, or they can send them to the SMUHA email, which is in the chat. I'd like to thank, first of all, Smooha for organizing this event and for inviting myself and Tom to moderate it. I'd like to thank Tom for being my co-moderator on this today. Thank you very much. And of course, top of the list are our candidates. Thank you so much for attending. I think this is a great precedent to continue as we go through elections, which is the more outreach, the better. The more reaching out to individual homeowners associations and individual residents. I think it just it empowers whoever gets in as a council member and breeds breeds trust in those council members. So thank you so much for this your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich, for everything you did. And thank you all the candidates for your amazing answers and honesty tonight, and for Rod's answers too. I know he wanted to be here, but he was unable to.
And I think that concludes the events. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.